A white security guard, mall cop of America, pulls a gun on a black police officer in uniform in a federal IRS building. I can't make this up. I'm not kidding you. A security guard pulls a gun on a cop in uniform. May of this year, Deputy Sheriff Alan Gaston went into a IRS building to ask about a letter he received from the Internal Revenue Service, and he was approached by a armed white security guard who asked Mr. Gaston to leave because he was carrying a firearm. Now, Mr. Gaston, the sheriff deputy, was in full uniform.
As Lucas County Sheriff's Deputy Alan Gaston enters the IRS office, he's in full uniform with his badge and his firearm visible. He's on duty May 31st, but says he stopped at the office for a phone number to ask about a letter he got from the IRS. Deputy Gaston says the guard told him he needed to put his gun in his car. Gaston said he couldn't do that. The conversation ends with a gun pointed at the deputy's back. The whole thing caught on security camera as the guard follows Deputy Gaston to the elevator with the gun out, and it appears his finger very close to the trigger. The guard then tries to take Gaston into custody, once again with the gun drawn. Eventually, Toledo police arrived after getting a 911 call.
He's got a gun and he won't leave.
But the caller from inside the IRS office never tells 911 the man with the gun is a uniformed deputy sheriff. Gaston's biggest concern as this incident unfolded were the other people inside the office.
If I'm going to get shot, which I felt like I was, it's not fair. They came there to do their business.
Gaston and his wife have now filed a civil lawsuit against the security guard Seth Eklund and the security company, seeking compensation after Gaston allegedly suffered emotional and psychological distress and lost wages.
Because the officer didn't obey the security guard's commands, he pulled his revolver on a police officer, on a sheriff. This was stupid. I don't understand what made him think he had the authority to order a police officer to do anything. Now, Mr. Gaston, being a 34-year veteran on the force, he de-escalated the situation by walking out. And as he was trying to leave, the security guard assaulted this officer. He put his arm onto the police officer trying to detain a cop. I'm serious. Rent-a-cop security of the Mall of America, mall security, tries to detain a deputy sheriff while in uniform, while on duty. I don't make sense of this. I don't know. People are trying to defend this idiot, but he deserves to be arrested. He's lucky that sheriff had such a restraint to not pull his revolver and use it on him. And you can see in the video, he tries to grab the police officer, which is assault. Now the security's name was Seth Eklund, and I hope I'm not butchering his name, but this guard had somebody call 911. Now the 911 caller told the police that there was a man with a gun and not a deputy sheriff. Now, doing this by leaving out that vital information could have gotten this deputy sheriff hurt or worse. Now, who knows why this rent-a-cop acted the way he did. I mean, maybe he wanted to be a police officer himself and couldn't make the cut. And I guess he saw that this officer, who happens to be black, and I hate to throw race in this, but I can't think of any other reason why this security guard would act in the way he did. The officer made no sudden movements. He didn't reach for his gun. But that's beside the fact. This is a police officer in uniform. And even though this is a federal building, he has the right to go into this building with his gun on his hip. He's a police officer. He's not a private citizen. Now, I understand what the law says about federal buildings, but that's for a private citizen. He's a police officer. That doesn't apply to him, especially because he was still on duty. Now, this cop had every right to whip this dude's ass. He's lucky that he came across somebody that was level-headed and was experienced as this officer was, because maybe if this was a younger officer, things could have gotten out of hand. He might have reacted differently if he was confronted the way he was by this security guard. And I just find this ridiculous that this guy doesn't receive any real charges. These are the charges that they gave him. Aggravated menacing, which is a 4th degree misdemeanor, which is nothing. It's a slap on the wrist. In actuality, this should have been aggravated assault. He should have been charged with aggravated assault because that's what he did. Once he put his hands on that police officer, he was asking for trouble. When those cops got on the scene, they were kind of confused because the 911 caller didn't mention that this was a uniformed cop. And I liked what the cops said when they got there. He's a police officer and he can go anywhere he wants in this building with his firearm. That's the statement they gave to this security guard. I like the fact that the police officer didn't stop there. The police officer is going to sue this security guard, and he's suing the security company that hired this dumbass. That's my opinion, though. I mean, let me know what you think. Do you think this security officer did something right? And I'm like, I find it hard to see. Do you think that the officer should have done something else once the security guard touched him? Well, you guys, that's my video. Once again, this is an Enigma. You have been enigmified, and I will see you in the next one. Deuces. Insecure little security guard.